Please, if you hold. You're on borrowed time. I am on borrowed time. Alex can do more than me. I'll part. Yeah. And once it dies, it's done. I saw that. Well, it got rear-ended by a guy, so we kind of fired that. My son and I.
Turn their mics on, so you got them on.
I'll call the meeting to order at 6:04. Please stand for a pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In a public notice, the agenda was posted at the town hall on the internet, at the Bolton School and at the gas station in Burkhardt. Roll call, I think we're all here,
Except for the fire department.
except for the fire department, which may show up. So next item on the agenda is nomination of the chair. So. Yeah.
Question is, Bob, what should we do? Do you want to continue or do you want to hand it off to someone?
Oh, I'll do it again. I mean, it's easy.
I know, he just has to run the meeting.
So I need a motion to,
I'll make a motion to nominate Bob Marty as chair of the committee.
I'll second.
okay, motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion is carried. So I will chair this third one more year.
Have fun.
If I'm still here. You know,
Have fun.
you never know. Next item is adoption of the agenda as posted.
I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda, but to move number 7 up to number 1.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion made and seconded to adopt the agenda as posted with moving number 7 up to number 1. Fall Festival. So opportunity to address the public finance on subjects not on the
All right, you
agenda.
got to take a vote on the agenda.
But,
You have to take a vote on the
oh,
agenda.
okay. So all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. All right, so the next item will be, we'll just move on with We'll do public comment first, if there's any.
No, I like it when there's none.
Yeah.
Hearing none, we'll move on to the regular agenda. So, for Fall Festival update,
Well, I can open it up, but Pat Tuma's here. She's kind of spearheading that for the Park and Recs Committee. So do you want to just talk, Pat, with what you have? Or do you want me to?
Otherwise,
Are you good with that, Pat?
Sure. So I send this to you, it just got to you a little bit.
Oh, okay. I haven't
Is it,
been on my email.
can I scan this out?
You can give it to the clerk so that she has a copy and she'll pass it both ways. Thank you. Yep.
Just so
I think we need more in that direction.
Thank you for letting me come to the meeting. My name is Pat Tuma and I am on the Parks Growth and Recreation Committee. And I've been on this since 2014. But basically what we're talking about today is there has been discussion as far as wanting to revive the St. Joseph Town Festival that we have in the fall. And Carol Barrett was instrumental in running that for years and years. And then of course with COVID. Side. So some of the ideas that would come up, well, number one, we have set a date, September 17th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. right here at the Town Hall Park. And some of the ideas that we have come up with is a playground dedication to playground equipment. Also nature trail tours and a possible treasure hunt for the kids. Touch a fire truck, having the fire department join us and having them display one of the trucks that they have. That's always a big exciting thing. The town committee would like to put tables out there that each of the committees represented with what is kind of up and new and coming in their area. And so residents have a chance to talk with them. We also wanted to put tables out there and invite county and local organizations, local bike clubs. We maybe get the county here and have someone talk about the park that's going in. At your bluff, because it's very close and right down the road there. We mentioned that we wanted to get a food truck here, local food truck. Someone mentioned an ice cream truck. We'd love to give people an opportunity to sell their produce or plants that they have. If they're dividing their plants in the fall of the year, that would be a great way to pass things on to their neighbors. We would love to have kids' games or crafts, petting zoo. We're hoping to get a hold of 4-H. They're a little busy right now with getting everything ready for the fair, but maybe right after the fair, we can get them involved and see if we can get a petting zoo. Some kind of historic slideshow would be really nice, just to kind of grandstand our history here. And I think a lot of people really know the history of our town, so that would be good. Another thing that was mentioned was an art exhibit. We have a lot of talented people in the township, and I think that would be great to exhibit that. I've talked to the pastor over at the church, and he basically said to get him the date and time that the church will talk about their involvement, that they could be involved with this as well, which then would include transportation to the church, some kind of music, and then signage and publicity. So at this time, I'm looking for volunteers that would like to help in these areas. I'm also looking for help from the committees to think of something that they could do in support of the town festival. We don't want it to be just a Parks, Trails and Rec. We want it to be the whole town. And like I said, I went to quite a few of them when Caroline was heading it, and they were a lot of fun. And that's just kind of what I wanted to mention to you tonight.
So you didn't put on there about us selling all of our old traffic signs.
Oh,
That's
is
not
another one.
shown.
I will add that on there. Is that Public Works?
Yes.
Yep.
And they can bring them down here on this side of the property if you want them down here rather than up there, but you know, it's kind of nice to have people walk around too.
Yeah.
And maybe one of the food trucks can sit in one of those spots up there.
Right.
So it brings people around, but we've asked for that early on.
Yes,
We
you
wanted to-
did. I remember
have-
now
we have
that
a
I was
ton of
looking over my
signs.
notes and it wasn't on there, but it should have been.
Yeah.
Yes, no, that would be fun. And I think people would be really interested in that. I think
Yes.
that would be a good thing. I'm also open to any other suggestions that you might have. Basically, the situation here is we have like less than 2 months to get this
Right.
rolling. And I don't think it's gonna take a ton of time. It's just contacting people and, you know, we have tables, we have chairs, we have
And the
things.
signs are still in the furnace room here.
Oh, really? From before? Oh, I didn't know that.
I
That's
cleaned
one
it.
of my
That's why I
questions,
know
the
they're
signs.
there.
Okay,
Oh,
You
okay.
just have to change the date on them.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
That's cool.
For if they have, if people sell produce or plants, do we need a license or permit or anything for that? Or do they need that?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
No.
What
I
does
mean,
that mean, Anton?
It means I think technically they need a permit from the state.
Oh, okay.
technically,
well, I gotta look that up.
technically,
There's an amount that you can sell where you don't need one.
okay,
It's pretty low.
Yeah.
Right.
What do you mean by low? Like under 1,000, I think.
Cool.
Like if you go over 100, I'm not sure.
What's your anticipation from the community? How many people? You anticipate like 300 people, or I'm just curious.
I'm just trying to think back,
Parking facilities,
on the
schools.
ones, you know, on the ones that I had gone to before, it wasn't a problem with parking. People kind of came and they, you know, they spent maybe like an hour and a half, and then they kind of left, and then other people came, that type of thing. Some of them, they had like a pancake breakfast, but I don't anticipate having that. It's more of just,
Have you contacted the fire department to see if they wanted to do that again?
I actually talked to Charles
Okay.
a while back, but I'm gonna have to call him again and talk with him and,
He's out, so you can't call him, but you can talk to, Zach.
okay,
She'll give you the number for him. Zach.
okay.
So we
Yeah,
did
because-
that before, where the fire department had pancake breakfast from 8 till 10.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
yeah, it worked out really nice. You know, they could raise money that way. So,
So,
I mean, it's up to them. If
Yeah.
they want to do
Yes.
it, that's not a problem.
yeah,
But I
Yeah.
think there should be some coordination there.
Yes,
Do they have any fundraisers that planned?
They have one again this summer, you know, that they, you know, like they did with the golf course and stuff. I
They
don't know
did,
what
or
day.
they're going to?
They're going to. They haven't done it yet. So
they're,
maybe it's fall.
they're not doing the big guys barbecue anymore.
They're
They're
not
just
doing
doing a golf.
And dinner.
Yeah, trying to do smaller ones instead of
Yeah.
one
And
big one.
and all in
Yeah.
one day.
And from what I kind of picked up, that they were going to do maybe some crafty stuff over there at the golf course in conjunction with the golf tournament, so.
And we can talk to Zach and Charles again, but I had already mentioned to them too before, it's been a few months, that we could all be involved in that also, or help out. I mean, last year
Yeah.
at the golf course, I did it and I got a lot of friends to come and golf. But we, you know, the Parks Committee, I mean, there could have been a lot of more involvement. I mean, to help, they could have used more help,
Yeah.
I think. And I think we're all in this together, the fundraising and all that. It would be nice to, you know, utilize the other committees
Okay.
also for that.
Perfect.
exactly.
But we could talk about that because they're kind of, the fire departments, I think, kind of crucial to this whole event. I mean, just having the fire trucks, that's what will get my grandkids here.
Well,
is
yeah,
the fire
the
trucks.
idea is to have things to bring families, because like the animals were really, that was
Yeah.
something that was really a lot of fun. And the trucks were fun. Like you said, the pancake breakfast was great in the morning. We used to have the Boy Scouts used to come, but the gentleman that worked with the Boy Scouts isn't working with them anymore. I forgot his name.
Yeah, they used to sell. They
They used to do the hot
Hot dogs and
dogs and
brats
stuff and brats, yeah,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So,
We were so.
So the basic thing is my number is on here. I'm getting just a hair nervous because I just know how long it takes for these kinds of things to go. So if anybody is interested in volunteering and taking on maybe one of these areas here, I would, really appreciate that. And just as committee members that, promote it to your committees to kind of decide what you want to do or how you want to
And
support the
we'll talk
cause.
about it. We'll talk about it more at our meeting this week. Should we meet again as a group or should, I don't know where we should go. Maybe just see what kind of interest we
Okay.
get and who we hear from and then.
And I
maybe we
could
should
call,
do
I
another
could,
meeting like
I
we
could
want.
just call the committee heads too and just kind of talk with
Yep,
them.
and talk through.
Yeah,
And then you
You
have
know.
to think about, I'm gonna just throw this out at you. If you have this all taking place here halfway down this parking lot, do we really want to go that way too? Is it too much of an inconvenience to the fire department if a call comes in?
So
Or should
basically,
we-
I would suggest that we try to keep it like all south of the parking lot, just because with kids and stuff, I don't want them walking through
Well,
the,
in the past, we've always barricaded that part of this off here.
okay,
And this was it.
okay,
And then the fire trucks could go that way.
okay,
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
would be
If we're gonna do
fine.
the signage at the, and bring that signage down, then maybe we do the signage on this building side of this parking lot. So people can walk back and forth, but not have it up there with the food
Yeah.
trucks and everything else.
Right, and when I was here, the produce stands are,
Yeah.
a few people selling jams and jellies and things, and some
Yeah.
people selling plants and those kinds of things. And then, most of the other kid stuff was in the open field.
Right.
And then the playground is gonna be a big attraction. That by itself will
Yeah.
pull people that way. So I'm thinking that there is gonna be more people on the south side over there, so.
But I'm thinking that it would be fine to have the signage on this side
Right.
and maybe not up there. You guys have to think about the logistics of what the
Yeah.
fire department's gonna need if they get called out.
When is the road project
Yep.
scheduled to be complete?
When's the what?
The road project out front here?
Hopefully the end of August.
Oh, okay,
It's
So
not
what-
gonna all be done, but they'll be closer than they are now.
yeah,
You know,
Okay.
it'll be open.
it's just even the signage, having signs out there.
I
I
know,
mean,
it's hard.
for me, all the years of knowing about it was seeing the signs out.
well,
there.
exactly, just getting to the four corner and
But maybe
seeing
you
the
put it
sign.
out here at both driveways for the time being.
Yeah,
Yeah. Till this gets done
Okay,
and not wait till it's done.
and we do have an election, right? So people will be
Yeah.
coming, so if we have the signs out before
Yeah.
that might
That'll
help.
help.
Okay.
August 6th, 8th, 9th,
9?
one of those days.
Okay,
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, so that's something. Okay, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
thanks, Pat.
One person to contact will be Donna Jewel,
Yeah, I think, yeah.
She does a lot of- the history stuff.
Yeah, no, Donna has a lot.
Does she know more than you, Bob?
Probably, a little bit.
Yeah, I could talk to Donna, she's got a lot of information. I don't know if there's someplace on all the houses, but I could definitely.
But there,
Thank you.
Thanks.
Don Symes used to have a lot of history of
Oh,
First Lake area.
yeah.
stuff.
We've lost a lot of our historians.
I know.
Yeah, one of the things we should maybe be thinking about as a town is whether we should be building up our own collection of historic items and
Yeah.
information
There's
here.
3 cabinets on the other side of there that's full. Full.
Thank you,
I know.
Dan.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to the review of the 2022 budget for the town.
So these are stapled upside down, but you want to start on page 1 where the revenues are. I think we're in pretty good shape through all of this. If you go down to the end of the revenue page, which is on page 4, we've collected 2,334,000. We're expected to collect 4,489. But remember, the second half of property taxes are not in. So we get paid twice a year when you guys pay your taxes twice a year and get settled. So that's this one that's sideways. So it's stapled backwards, but then I think the most important part of this is not so much the income. Because we know what we're gonna get for taxes. That's set in stone. We don't get more. We get what we get. Because we're under a tax levy limits. But what's more important is what's going on with the expenses. So you can run down those and see where you're at. You know, everything seems to be pretty much on track. But if anyone has any questions concerning this. How come that January PLIT is a negative on page 2?
2?
Yeah, just 2. I just saw that on page 2. Why is that a negative? It's up near the top. 43,660. Check on that.
Which item?
Our elections, we've already spent more than we intended. But this is the year we had to train and take on new election inspectors put forth to us by the Democrats and Republicans. So that's why that number is significantly higher.
Which number, Teresa?
Under elections, under 51440 on page 5. The number's already higher than we expected to be, and we still have another 2 elections to go. It's so weird to go backwards on this thing. I'm just like, okay. Go backwards, Teresa, go backwards. There are also ins and outs on here, just so you're aware, like building inspections, we pay for them, but we get the money back in. So even though we put a number in, it doesn't matter if we go over because we're getting the money to pay the money. The same way with all the reimbursables, we get the money to pay the money. Major road work, we're not doing any this year. We put it in our budget, but we're not. We're in good shape on public works right now. The joint library, you can see what we budgeted there on page 8 at the very bottom. We have only paid them half when we get the rest of our property taxes. We'll pay them the other half. Otherwise, things are pretty well, I think, in line.
Did the joint library go up?
Huh?
The joint library go up?
That's for next year. It's the same.
Oh,
Yeah.
next year, okay,
It's just a few dollars difference. It's not a
Oh.
big deal.
okay.
And you can see we, on the last page, we purchased a fire truck last year that's into this year, so we had to pay for it this year. So that's in there. We took a loan out for that. I'm gonna staple this the right way so I can read it. That's what happens when you're in a hurry. Anybody have any questions on it?
Any questions? Otherwise, we'll move on to the next item.
So page 10, just the difference in the debt service, actual versus budget.
Where are we here?
Page 10, it's.
Oh, yeah, debt service, I see.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and those numbers haven't been dropped in there because the roads we only pay for at the end of the year in November.
Okay,
So it's
So
not
they'll
in
come in.
yet. So the principal and interest on the roads won't be in, same with the truck. That's, none of that's in there yet.
okay.
Yeah.
Is there a place to see that? Or is
It's
that,
in the audit here. That's will be the next.
Okay.
In the audit, yeah, in the audit. And I don't want to go to the audit yet, but I do want to pull something out of there so you can see.
Yeah.
You're talking about loan commitments, Bob, is that what you wanted to go to next?
Okay. What item is that?
Loan commitments, on this big packet that you got the clippy on,
Oh, okay.
if you go to the audit in there on page 18, this shows our debt service. So the pages don't start at 1 because she's got a cover page on there and stuff, but if you go back into the audit on page 18, here's your debt service. So we have 3 loans outstanding right now. We have one on the fire truck and the town hall roof, which is due in 26. We have the big note on the roads, which is due in 29. And then we have the second truck, which is due in 29. We've tried to ladder the trucks out. We've tried to ladder the trucks out so that we can replace a truck every 8 years rather than every 6. We're in a little bit of a crunch here until we pay off that first truck, but then after the second truck is paid off, we'll take another loan out for the next one. So every 8 years, we'll buy a truck. Every 10 years, under that big loan, every 10 years, we've been doing roads. So this is the 3rd round trip on roads. This time we borrowed 7.1 million, which was more than we've ever borrowed in the past. But interest rates were at the lowest of the lows, and we came out really good on that. So it didn't really kick anyone's tax bill that much. It was very minimal. The truck, on the other hand, did kick your tax bill, but when you look at it, the payment's like $96,000. It's not spread across the town. That's not a horrible amount of money. But we wanted to get the trucks on an 8-year cycle. So we're not constantly taking a loan out for a truck, which is what we've been doing. That's why you have a loan due on 26, is because we had to fix the roof and we bought a truck at the same time. Now we're gonna try to get on this 8-year cycle on these trucks. And you're gonna have to figure these trucks are costing you $1 million. This last one cost us $750 to $800. Now they're gonna cost, in 8 years, they're gonna be $1 million. That's what the trucks cost with all the equipment on them. We're going to these hybrids, so we don't have to have 2 tankers. We only have to have 1 because this new truck is a hybrid. It has the ability to carry a crew, but it also has a 5,000 gallon tank on it. Unlike an engine that only has 1,000 on it. So we're getting rid of 1 tanker and replacing it with this truck probably this fall when we finally get it. It's not here yet. And we went to a hybrid because that gives us 3 big rigs in those bays, 3 big, long, high rigs. And that saves us a lot of space rather than having 4. So going to that 8-year cycle gets us there, and it saves the town over 25 years, $1 million, because we're not buying a truck every 6 years. We're down to 3 years, or 3 trucks in 8 years.
What's the life of a truck?
Well, you can run them 25 years. That's about it. Because the problem being with them is things start going wrong that are major things. All the pumping systems, the valves, the hydraulics, everything starts, you start paying the price. Our old tanker, we've been sticking money into that, trying to figure out what to do. And finally, when this hybrid truck has come out that many of the fire departments are buying, we decided this is the way to go. But 25 years is about your max. We're gonna be doing them at 24. We've been replacing trucks at about 30 here, but the costs are just killing us. Because all that stuff for the pumping system starts going up.
How many trucks in service?
Right now, we have 4 big ones. We'll go down to 3. And then we have pickup trucks. We have brush 1, brush 2. We have the gray one that we just bought. We have an ATV rescue vehicle. And we have one more, isn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4. No, 3 pickup trucks in the rescue and the UTV.
But we're not keeping the trucks 25 years.
No,
No, not the pickups.
Well, even the
it's
fire trucks.
No, the big ones we are. We're keeping them 24 now.
Okay.
Yeah,
So-
24
so-
years.
So if we have an 8-year cycle, there should be at some point in time where we don't have as much debt on fire trucks.
Right, because instead of having 2 that you're paying for right now, you're only gonna have 1 every 8 years. And that just gets you in a better spot. Any pickup truck we can buy out of the budget, because they're 30 grand or 35 grand.
Yeah.
Even at 40, we can budget for a pickup truck. We can't budget for $1 million vehicle.
Teresa, what can you tell me about our fire crew and our capacity in relationship to our community, relationship to other work you've seen with other communities? Because you've been involved in Somerset,
Yeah.
Hudson, Troy.
They're very capable and they have enough personnel to cover this area. we're lucky we have them and that we support them as well as we do because it keeps them coming back. But, you know, we've been talking, what does this look like 20 years down the road? Well, 20 years down the road, this fire department may not stand on its own. It may be a cooperative with others because eventually equipment, training, you know, legislation will get you to a point you're gonna have to decide whether you can keep that going or not on its own.
It's all an allocation of revenue.
Yep,
It-
and it's
it-
all gonna depend on where the, you know,
it-
parameters come down as to what you can have for a fire department. Eventually, it's gonna get to the point that you're gonna have to join forces with others in order to make this happen. It might still be here, but it might not be ours alone.
And we have the issue of whether we can continue having enough volunteers
Right.
into the future.
Yes, and right now we do.
Yeah.
We're lucky, we do. Town of Hudson's served by the city and they pay for every call.
Mhm.
No matter what it is, they pay.
It's not that way here.
No. We're all lucky about that. It's not.
Mhm.
Because our taxes pay for it as our fire department. And yes, we do charge if you start a fire without a permit and it gets away from you, we're gonna charge you for that. Because you shouldn't have done it. You should have called in. Those are the rules. And if you don't follow the rules, you get to pay. Because the public shouldn't, the taxpayers in this should not have to pay for someone's, I call it stupidity, of starting a fire without able to control it when they shouldn't have. Because right now, you're gonna see with this hot weather, you're gonna start seeing fire bans coming on. And if you don't call in and you have a fire ban, you're on the hook. And I tell that to every single person who gets a fire permit from me, you're on the hook. Better call that number. And do not put a fire out there when you can't control it. And since I come from a family of pyros, I know all about that. Don't laugh, it's the truth. You take the dollars of the truth.
The town of St. Joseph kind of unique because we have our own fire department. Somerset and town of Somerset and the village of Somerset has their own. So we work mutual aid with those. And, you know, actually, if there's something major going on that side of the river, they move trucks around to cover
Yeah.
stations.
So we have mutual aid with all of them.
But you take town of Stanton, a lot of this, the eastern side of the state, the county, they don't have fire departments. Deer Park has one. Warren Roberts has one. And Baldwin, Woodville, you know, they're kind of.
See, and those are
incorporated.
cooperatives.
But they,
Yeah.
but like, you get town of Richmond, Star Prairie, the village of Star Prairie doesn't have its fire department. They're contracted with New Richmond Fire Department.
Yeah.
And people up there scream because they go buy a new big truck and they're taxed for it and they're going, well, you know, so, you know, eventually they're gonna have to go and get their own fire department up and going somehow or another.
Yeah.
And like the town of St. Joe, if we grow like as predicted in 10 years, you know, our fire department may have to grow with it. And so,
Well, we have enough capacity now that we're going down to 3 trucks.
yeah,
That gives us more capacity in that building that we
Sure.
did not have before.
Sure, and the trucks are more efficient.
They're more efficient, but they're taller, bigger and longer.
Mhm.
Every one of them is.
Mhm.
But anyway,
So,
that shows you your loan commitment. So at least you can see that in the audit, what it is.
so just for, just on the roads itself, what we've done over the past 2 years, we've done 27 roads. Rehab, reconstructed. We still have the one in Holton to do, Church Street, down Egart, and we'll incorporate Pearson Street, widening and whatever. But we just put in for a grant. And Lee, our engineer, thought it was gonna be $50,000. He, at our last meeting, he said it was about $135,000 that we got for that, so.
you mean the grant?
Yeah,
Yeah,
So has that been received or is that applied for,
no, it's already been approved.
approved?
We've
Yeah.
gotten our approval letter. So how these grants work, because it's all state and federal money. is that you apply, they tell you if you're in the running, and then we've been approved, so they've committed to us that they're gonna pay us X number of dollars. Now we wait, because usually, this one I don't know, I think this one we get up front, but I'm not sure, so, because sometimes you have to spend the money to get the money. Other ones, you get the money and spend the money, so I don't know which one this is, I'd have to check with Lee on this. But it's committed, it's like the Tri-D funds that we had on Perch Lake, which is a couple $100,000. That was committed to us, but we had to spend the money to get the money. So you have to show that you did the project, it's completed, and you paid the bills. I don't know which one this is, so I'd have to check. It all depends on the grant.
Should we just run that through the general account?
It comes into a specific LRIP account that all monies from the state and feds go in, and then we transfer it to an account on its own for the roads.
I saw those in the, ledger.
Yeah.
ARPA funds were there, which was
Yeah.
nice. The second piece came,
Yes.
which had the 24th of June.
Yeah. So we have to dedicate it. So she has a road account at the bank here, but everything gets dumped into that LRIP account, whether you want to, you have to designate one account for all federal and state monies.
Yep.
And the county dumps stuff in there too. So that's our account. We can never get rid of it because that's the place the money comes to.
Mhm.
And then from there you transfer it where you need to put it.
Good.
Okay,
Okay. So I believe we ran through the 10-year plan. too.
10-year plan.
Oh,
10-year plan.
Oh my God, I'm just gonna say to you all that I want to shoot myself over this. I just want to shoot myself over this. So this plan had not been updated since 2016. And if she's gonna send it to you but all these columns are from 2011 forward. That's why they're compressed, so we can get it on a sheet. Is everything right on here? Oh my goodness, people know. All the yellows still have to be checked. And the blue one, which is 2022, the numbers that we actually did for the budget are not in here. These are numbers that have been added across. We really need to improve this to 2031.
Yeah.
Is this something I'm really capable of? I'm gonna tell you all, this is about 1 to 2 pay grades ahead above me on this. So if anyone wants to take this on, the clerk could provide you with all the audits from all those years, because that's the numbers we use, and with the budget from 2022, and get those numbers punched in to verify them. I have a yellow highlight on page 1 of building inspector because guess what? It's not in the audit where it should be. So there's a couple of questions I have, and FICA's not in there on the second page, and then all the yellow is still there. But what this is really helpful with is as you're taking out loans and watching the monies coming in, at one point in time, this town was in trouble in that we didn't have enough money coming in to pay our bills. So when they started this, it was like, oh my goodness, we're gonna bankrupt this town if we're gonna do what we're doing. So it's important that we kind of run these numbers out with these formulas and see where we're at. And so when you run the numbers out, it makes a difference because then you can start to see where those all show up and what you're ending up to pay. I would hope that someone who's smarter than I am would like to take this on and make this their little poster child of being on this committee. And it's not me. So I'm looking at Stefan or Matt to say this is something they'd like to work on in the next 2 months and bring back to us. How'd you like how I did that? Terry's laughing because she knows how I am. Let's just put it out there.
It was a few meetings ago that I got
Appointed to ARPA.
appointed to the ARPA committee chair.
Yeah.
So my
Oh.
plate is full right now. So I will have to pass for now, but hopefully your first meeting, Matt,
Yes.
welcome.
Yes, there
Yeah.
you go. So Matt, are you familiar with Excel spreadsheets? Do they work for you?
I am. I'm reluctant to take it on 40 minutes into my first meeting. As of
Come
now.
on, you hit the
So,
ground running, come on.
It's not a no forever, but I would need to know more about what we got to do with this.
I'm fine with sitting down with you sometime.
Okay.
Yeah,
One
and giving
question,
you all the information. Yes, Anton?
one question I had on these is, what does it mean when we have a negative ending general fund balance?
remember what this is. Which year are you in?
Well, multiple years, but in
22
particular,
starts.
like this year.
That's a debt balance as of the end of the year, the bottom.
Yeah, I don't know why, those two are showing as
147.
negative. Because they're not done. I don't have that. Yellow highlight's not finished. I didn't get that done today.
Mhm.
And the gray one, I haven't punched in all the numbers.
Okay.
Yeah,
It just seems like we should never be in a case where we
you're
have a
not. And you
negative.
not- and you won't be on this one either, once the right
Yeah.
numbers are put into it. From- I
Yeah.
don't
But
know
we are,
time.
we are showing in 2017.
2017. Oh, because we ended general fund balance. Oh, yeah, look at that. That's another one. Somehow that didn't work out either.
It just seems
Let me
like, I
see.
don't think we ever actually have a negative general fund balance. So I'm just,
No.
wasn't sure if there was some.
We never have a negative, but something's wrong with that.
Yep. Okay.
And the problem with this spreadsheet, a very smart person put this together, very smart. And put all these formulas in, and sometimes if you put the wrong number, it just skews everything off, which of course we all know. This has been just, can I just say, I can only look at this so much. And I just ended up today, I spent an hour and a half here before this meeting trying to rectify some issues and went like this, I can't look at this anymore. So Matt, if you're thinking about doing this, I would be glad to sit down with you like the first week of August sometime and just go through it with you.
Okay.
We will have the clerk send all of you this Excel spreadsheet so you can at least have a chance to look at these numbers more carefully and then come back with any other issues you see on it. But it's my first push at it in the last 5 years.
How long ago was it when the town was in trouble?
The town was in trouble in 2012, 2011, 2012, 2013. So Matt, what happened at that time is we have the ability to levy on the front of our levy worksheet for taxes in the town, but we can only levy under the guidance from the state with levy limits. So we're only able to increase of the value of the new construction. Because obviously new construction should be paying the same as all of us are paying. So that's our increases to cover that. On the back of the worksheet, it gives you the ability to add to your levy any debt you have. So those numbers that you saw on in the audit are the numbers we would add in for next year for our debt that we have to pay. We collect that monies from the townspeople to cover our debt, and that becomes the entire tax bill for the town. Back about 8 to 10 years ago, we had a board who wanted to save money. So they did not levy for the debt. Thinking, instead of levying at the time, our debt payment was about $540,000, they levied 50. So now they have to come up with $490,000 out of $1 million budget. And what happened was they started drawing down our general fund. And the general fund, this town should be keeping in their general fund about $800,000 because of the size of town we are, to cover ebbs and flows of taxes being paid, because right now we're in the ebb of it because we haven't been paid for the July taxes in August. So right now we're kind of at the bottom. And you have to have enough money to pay bills, whatever those bills might be. You have to have enough money if you have an emergency, like a tornado, or the roof comes off the building or something like that. You have to have enough money in the bank to cover those things. They were down to less than $175,000 in the bank. And they weren't paying their bills. They were drawing money just to pay the bills. And we found that out through an audit, and then we started levying back up for 4 years in a row to bring us back to the $540,000 and got us back. So then when we took out the loan in 2019, we're not doing such a big impact to you because we've already taken on a loan rather than hitting you with the whole amount. That's why the year you pay off a loan, you take out a loan, and then the tax problems stay level. They don't impact you negatively. So that's why we wanted to get the trucks on an 8-year cycle, because that way, every year we buy one, it's not a big hit to the pocketbook, because every 8 years we're buying one. Just like we're doing roads every 10. Every 10 years we do roads, automatic every year, 10 years. So that kind of gives you a little bit of a background of the thinking, but that's why the town was in trouble, is because they had depleted the general fund down to nothing. And essentially, they would bankrupt the town, which means then you're borrowing to pay for heat and lights and salaries every month. And there's a couple of towns in the state who've had to do that and have done it as long as levy limits have been in place. And that's horrible.
It's not the first time that some boards have run this town to the bottom.
Mhm.
The only thing that, what it impacted for public works was we were unable to seal coat and crack seal it.
Yeah.
So,
Did a number
you know,
of
we had to
roads.
wait until we built up enough to get enough in the pot so we could then do, you know, start doing that. So we got behind on roads at that time too.
Everything.
So,
I mean, they put buckets in the ceiling to control the water coming in the roof. Because they had no money to fix it.
Yeah.
So it was unfortunate, but that's something to keep your eye on.
item. We want to the ARPA.
Yep, so this sheet here that shows what's in the, is this LGIP? No, this is everything. Oh, this is LGIP. So this LGIP has the tax collection account and the ARPA fund account. All the rest of them are now input. We don't use them. So we have just over $1.1 million in our tax collections, and the ARPA funds are 413,000 approximately. Matt, just so you know, we did use ARPA funding for these. And the stuff up there that runs all this. And we have not spent any other.
Yep.
He is the head of the ARPA committee. Who will meet August 1st, is it?
Yeah.
August 1st and send a report to the board. They're not making a choice. They're just sending a report to the board with some rankings.
So high level, what the ARPA stands for, the American Rescue Plan Act, money allocated from the federal government, really on the backside of COVID. It's money that doesn't need to be returned. There's no, obligation to return the money. It's money allocated to the township to use for various projects. So what we've done is we've met May, June, July, and we're meeting again in August. There'll be our fourth meeting. Each committee has, so the committees are the, sure I get them all here, Technology Committee, the Fire Department, Clerk's Office, Public Works, and Parks, Trails, and Rec. All committees have met. All committees have met on their own and presented to the ARPA committee areas where they see allocation needed within their the subgroups of the town. So what we've done is narrowed down all the highlighted items that are on their list, had them choose a rational reason, what it's needed for, and then really prioritize what is the most important. If you want me to go into the details of what each committee is presenting, I can do that also, but really what we're having them do is fine tune, what the cost is, what the benefit is to the community. For Parks and Recs, it would be a little bit more aesthetic. For technology, there could be something that's actually going to have an impact on each individual resident that might be more tangible. Broadband is an example that we've talked about. So at the end of the August meeting, what I see is coming back with is a formal review of the meetings that we've had to present to the board with a recommendation and how they could allocate what's remaining $412,000. Any questions? I'm happy to answer. I don't want to dig into the weeds, but I'm happy to high level. Okay.
Thank you. So we move on to 2021 audit. We got more to talk about on that.
Audits and binder.
It's all in this.
Yeah.
This thing could be in her letter and all the stuff she wants the clerk to do, which I'm just like, okay. Gotta work our way through that. Huh?
You know, if we leave all of that.
What page are we on there?
Well, it starts, if you flip through and find this page, that's the beginning of the audit. So it's about, I don't know, 10, 12, 13 pages in.
Anything high level, Teresa, that you've seen that you want to mention?
Not yet. I just really haven't had a chance to really look it over well. But I guess I would like you all to look at this. And if you have any comments or questions, would you send them to the clerk's office so she can talk to the auditor about them? That's why we've given you the whole thing on this, so you know what we're dealing with. You know, there's a lot of numbers, it tells you a lot of things, but usually they're pretty well right on, but I would like to have a chance to take a closer look at it.
Did they bring up anything as issues?
Did she say anything, Terry? Okay. I'll be quite honest. If I could find someone else to do this audit, I would.
Versus Larson Allen?
Yeah.
And your rationale?
Well, I believe strongly that they should be having a meeting with us at the time they're presenting the audit.
Sure.
And that has not happened in the last 3 years, and I asked for it every single year. And I've asked for it from the bosses, not just from the auditor. That's number one, because if things are going sideways and she's seeing something, nobody knows about that unless they're talking to us. And in the past, when I was chair years ago, we always had a meeting with the auditor telling us what they saw as an issue or not issue. This boilerproof letter that they put in the front of the audit is boilerproof letter. I mean, it absolves them from everything and tells us we're on our own on everything.
At the front, yeah,
Yeah.
the specific items are listed probably 10 pages back.
Right, and so, you know, I just am like, I don't know, and I just, it's hard because we had a really good auditor for a long time
With
with
Larson,
Larson, and I really liked him, and I've been trying to find someone else, and everybody tells me they're too busy. Nobody, because you have to be a governmental auditor in order to do this, you just can't be a tax auditor. Because there's completely different rules for governments than there is for everything else. So I talked to Whiffley, did not get anywhere with them, they're too busy. And I'm not the only person looking for someone else, other towns are too.
sure.
So they're struggling with us too. And some of what you see in this front letter has been coming through of things they used to do for us and now no longer do. And she's saying, we're no longer gonna do this for you because the procedure is different. Is the procedure different because of the feds or is it different because of them?
She just mentions they're not doing it, not why,
Right.
sure.
Right. And so that also, because whatever numbers she uses, I'm talking Terry as I'm pointing at her, are numbers that the auditor put together. So, you know, I question why they're not doing that. What is happening? This is not the first time she's done this to us.
How often do you speak with her?
She came in here one day,
Can you turn your mic on so they can hear you?
yeah, she came in one day and sat here and went through documents. For pretty much the whole day and asked for certain things.
Recently or right before? Sorry to interrupt you. Right before,
Yeah,
right before this file?
Oh, yeah. Like, that was probably
January?
January,
Yeah.
February. She came in and then that's, you know, she's asked for things by email. Since.
And what's hard is that we have certain dates we have to meet for the C report, et cetera, that they do for us. And everything seems to get delayed. And we're not the only municipality that's complaining about that.
Mhm.
We used to get this audit years ago, Bob, you can remember this. We used to get this audit usually by our May 1st meeting.
Yep.
That was usually about the latest we got it because the C report has to get filed and they do all that and then supply the audit. And I'm like, now here we are, it's July and we had to beg this out of her to get it. She called repeatedly to get it. And I'm like, it's July. We're 7 months out from the, end of the year, which I don't like because if there's an issue, it's hard to go back and resolve that. Now you're 7 months in. So there's a whole list of things why I'm not happy. Because I expect this to get done. I don't expect this to be put off. Because it takes the clerk about a month plus to pull all the paperwork together because we have to get through the January board meeting for her to be able to pull everything together for the auditor. But then she's already started the audit box. We already know what we need. And that should go easy. But for instance, one of the things that happened this year is that she sent us a form. And she wanted us to put on this form, every employee, their date of birth, their social security number, their address, and then how much money they made each month here with their withholdings. And I'm like, what? Do you know how long that's gonna take someone to do with the fire department and personnel? There's 20-some people over there. And I said, why can't you just take the report out of QuickBooks? I can go like this as she can and produce that report by month for every single employee. Why does it have to be on this form? Well, in the end, she did take the report from QuickBooks because I was adamant. I said, who's got time for that? Who's got time for that? Because in this town, over the course of a year, you're probably talking what, 35 employees, 40 employees? Yeah. That's a lot to have to deal with. It's not like we got 2 people here.
No, but it should be, you should have running access to that within the financials of the entity at all times.
Yeah,
Sure, but she has access to it, is what you're saying. Instead of asking for it,
no,
could've-
she cannot get into our QuickBooks.
No.
She has no access to QuickBooks. We don't let her.
she just sees the backside. Meaning the reason, right,
Right.
okay.
But all she had to do was say, can you produce this, or I'll take a report out of your
Yeah.
QuickBooks system, because she knows we use QuickBooks. What I'm saying is that she made it really hard because she sent all these reams of paper to Terry to fill out. I was like, are you kidding? Just print off the QuickBooks.
Sure.
You know.
She sent a bunch of, like Excel spreadsheets that in her format, how she kind of set up, and it was just overwhelming, so many documents.
Oh my gosh, it was just,
It was kind of unbelievable.
Well, the hard part is it doesn't seem like you have a pretty good communication.
right.
You're not communicating in a healthy manner with her. So that's just gonna build up a bridge even harder to, and ultimately she's gonna present the document, but yeah, I've just breezed this, but it just looks like all disclosure. And
Yes.
protecting their own
Yes,
rear end.
yeah,
So I'll read through
yeah.
it more.
So I want you all to take a real close look at the audit in the next week or so and send your concerns and questions to Terry, because we're going to be talking to them. And if you know, you two, if you know of any governmental auditors that we could talk to about the future, I'm willing to talk to them. But I did not have good luck finding anybody. That's why Whiffley was the only one I contacted.
So didn't we years ago, the auditor would come right here and get the information because we didn't have computers back then.
Right, and they, in the
Days.
past, when another clerk was here, she wanted to take all the paperwork out of the office. When I became chair, I stopped that. I said, you can't haul this out of here. These are our records and we're responsible for them. We're the townspeople. So now she has to come in here and do it on site.
Sure.
Which is what the auditors always did.
Yeah.
Because you can't remove governmental records. We won't let her.
What do we pay them?
I don't know, it's about $5,000, isn't it? Yeah, it's 8,000, somewhere in there.
And I'm sure it's probably a couple times a year, not just once, one bill. You get charged by the hour.
Yeah,
Yeah, a consultation.
I'll find it in here, so I can tell you what we put in for it. We put 10 grand in for auditor.
Okay.
We haven't gotten a bill yet. And that, we eat that up. So, you know, it's, and we know it's not cheap, and because we have a combined office of the clerk treasurer, we're required by law
It's
to
necessary.
have that audit, and I prefer it because it keeps everyone
Sure.
on the up and up. But geez, we have got to have someone, you know, we have to find a way to be more, as you say, the communication better, which we've struggled with that. And that's not the way it used to be.
How long has she been involved, Sarah?
Probably 7, 8 years. I think 7, 8, 9 years, somewhere in there. Because the other gentleman that we had retired, and he had been with us for a long time. And he was amazing. He's the one that brought up to the chair at the time that the town was gonna go bankrupt. He said, do you realize that you're spending more money than you're bringing in? You've got to stop this. So he's the one that asked for a meeting and told us that. So,
To the board, the board.
well, he met with the chair first, and then they went to the board. Something to consider, guys.
So is that something we want to put on the agenda for the next meeting?
The auditor, we could, yeah.
Yeah.
After we see what we get for answers from her.
How long we been with
Oh,
Clifton Larson?
20
Allen?
years.
20 years?
At least 20, if not 25.
And you said other towns are also looking for,
Yep,
so is it similar issues, do you think?
same
I know.
issues with them. Yep.
And it's the same company?
Yep.
Are they using the same company?
Yep, because there's just no one to find.
Okay.
I mean, you put in governmental auditors and nothing comes up in this area.
Mhm.
I don't care if they're in Eau Claire or wherever they are, it wouldn't matter to me. I mean, Whitley is across, the Midwest here, so they would be fine, but they said no, they don't have enough personnel.
I'm assuming we contract with them. There's a
Mhm.
contract in place. Is there any measure that we can take through that contract through deliverables, adding in some of these things that we want to see
Well,
more
it's
of?
interesting because I asked for that and their contract doesn't state that, but I asked for that they'd have this meeting with the chair on what this means and hasn't happened.
Do we have to renew the contract every year?
Yeah,
Or is it-
every year.
So I think there's an opportunity there to build in
Absolutely.
some of those new deliverables that
Yeah.
we're looking for in the next set
Absolutely.
of contracts.
And we can sure work on that and bring that to you guys. Perfect. I like it.
Done?
We're done.
We're done, but we should probably talk about the
Okay.
next meeting date.
Next meeting dates and you want to put the audit back on the agenda for our next meeting. So for 3 months out.
We're gonna go 3 months out, but the audit, I don't know that the audit will be back on, but the auditor will be back on and we can talk about the audit, but everything has to go through her so we can get this done. Because Standard & Poor's is waiting for this audit. So we pushed them off a month already. I have to approve it and get it to them.
Standard and Poor's?
Huh? Standard & Poor's, yeah.
No.
Yeah, it's because they need an audit every year and we haven't been able to provide this one because it's too late. It's been late. They wanted it June 1st, was it? 30th, June 30th. So we're, yeah.
What is
So
our rating?
we are AA+.
For our promissory?
Yep. Yep.
Not getting funds.
No,
So
no bonds, just notes. Come on. Don't do that.
We have new members.
I know. So do you guys want to meet the first part of October or end of September?
I'd say October,
I would also say October.
early October.
Well, do you want to do, is there anything on the 12th? That's what I'm looking at. It's 10, 12. Get us off on Mondays.
we got
Or 10, 11. Check the 11th on Tuesday. I think the 12th is Parks. Yeah. Do you want to do Tuesday or Wednesday, guys?
so
Probably Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Okay,
Tuesday, 11th,
yeah,
okay.
At 6.
at 6.
Okay. Okay, we'll take a motion to adjourn.
Nobody wants to go home?
I'll make a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Yeah.
Okay, motion made and seconded, all in favor, say aye.
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 Perfect.
At 7:30. Seven.